Warning: the following video contains explicit language which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Hello and welcome back. We are once again diving into the world of Hunter S. Thompson in his novel Kingdom of Fear. So, without further ado, let's get on into this thing.
This particular alley many times, and had gotten to the point where I could put this huge V8 Chevy pickup through a burning hoop without it being touched.
But the fact that he says that, you know something's going to happen.
At 60 or 70 miles an hour. I remember coming down that alley. It was bright. I could see it was all bricks on either side, and here was this big truck, say 1.5 tons, like a big Ryder delivery truck.
Yeah, those are kind of interesting. Take up a lot of space.
Only blue or green, and it had one of those tailgates that hangs down on chains, made of pointed lead or hard steel.
Yeah, and that can be not fun.
The tailgate was pointing out by a few degrees. Had it been parked parallel, I would have had room to go through with about 3 inches to spare. But instead of being parallel to the wall, it was parked at a slight angle, and I remember thinking, shit, I can make that.
Yeah. The foibles of youth.
But I knew it was bad. I hit the accelerator so hard that I was through the alley at about 60. So fast that I barely felt the impact. Sort of a click, more than a crash.
And those I have found in my life experiences are far, far worse than an actual crash for some reason.
I knew immediately that I hadn't made it clean, and I stopped. Another inch, and I would have made it. 2 inches, maybe. But I missed it by those 2 inches. The tailgate had kicked in, just to the right of the front headlight. The truck had a big chrome stripe all along it, and right on top of it, about 3 inches above, was another stripe, this one dark in color. I looked at it and thought, what the fuck? What's that? There was no other damage. I hadn't crashed anything, nothing bent. So I stared at the dark stripe again, and as I looked at it, I realized that the tailgate had caught the front headlight right there and opened up the truck like a can opener.
That's never a good thing. That usually tends to get your boss a little bit upset with you.
The whole length front to back, about 2 inches wide, but clean, like a sardine can. You put one on both sides and people would think that's the way the new Chevy trucks were.
But unfortunately, he only had one on one side.
I thought, oh, fuck. But nobody had seen it. It didn't make any noise. There was no crash, just a hairline miss. Hubris! I knew I should learn from the thing.
But we'll find out later what he learned and didn't learn.
I knew the damn track was not what it looked like, literally, a 2-inch racing stripe, but it was so clean that I thought for a minute that I might get away with it. I went into the diner across the street and sat drinking coffee and beer, thinking, what the hell do I do?
I've never had that combination of coffee and beer. I've drank beer, then coffee, or coffee before beer, but I've never drank them at the same time. That's just doesn't sound appetizing, to be honest with you.
Do I tell anybody? I parked the truck out in the lot with the bad side right next to a fence so nobody could see it, then finally decided what to do. I went in and told the parts manager, come out here, Hank. I've got something to show you. He was in charge of such things, and he was a good friend. I took him out to the lot in the hot noonday sun and said, now, I want you to be calm here, but I just want to show you this. I don't know what to do about it, and I need some advice. I took him around to the other side, between the fence and the truck,
Yeah, and this is kind of, where you sometimes, I guess you just have to trust your friends.
And he almost passed out. I said, "What should I do about this?" And he said, "We'll have to tell Mr. Cook." That's fair, I thought. It was right after lunch. Hank then called and said he needed to talk to Mr. Cook, but he wasn't there. Thank God, which gave me another hour or so. I was going nuts with this. Something was coming down.
Yeah, that's one of those things you can feel it coming. You feel it in your bones.
We just happened to be right across the street from the main Louisville post office, and I thought, aha, I bet the draft office is still open there. So I went across the street at lunch and volunteered for the draft, which a lot of my friends had done. It was kind of a nice resting place between stops. And
Man, that's one way to avoid trouble, I guess.
there was a 6-month waiting list. I thought, oh fuck, time's way down and I have to go back and see Almond Cook at 1:10. I had an appointment. So I just went next door to the Air Force. It happened to be next door. And I took the pilot training test and scored like 97%.
And the the thing is I know, like, when we had recruiters here in Huntsville, and we had recruiters like where I grew up in Carpers Cove, they were always Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine Corps, all in the same office. I always found that interesting.
I didn't really mean to go in there, but I told them I wanted to drive jet planes, and they said I could with that test. So I said, when can I leave? And the recruiting officer said, well, normally it takes a few days to check out, but you go Monday morning, allegedly to flight school at Lackland Air Force Base in San Antonio, Texas.
Yeah, don't think it worked out the way he planned on it.
I thought, aha, I'm out of here. I went back and apologized to Almond Cook and told him that I had to admit I had failed at driving the truck. And where is my old friend Paul Horning, now that we need him? Paul was the finest
Yeah, it's sometimes that happens like that with friends.
running back of his time. All-state at Flagey High in Louisville, All-American at Notre Dame, and All-Pro for the Green Bay Packers. He was a big, handsome boy from Louisville's gamey West End, a long-time breeding ground for sporting talent, which also produced a flashy young fighter with extreme...
And yeah, lamenting about all the greatness that has come out of your little town. To do that for where I currently live would be a really short list.
extremely quick hands named Cassius Clay, who would become even more famous than Horning. That would be my old friend Muhammad Ali, the heavyweight champion of the world. He beat the shit out of me once for no good reason at all, and Paul Horning ran over me in a car just because I couldn't get out of his way.
Yep, sounds like friends, or at least kind of friends that, are worth having.
Yes, sir, those boys stomped on the terra. They were also serious flesh tasters, as working libertines were sometimes called in those days. They were...
Yeah, that's part of that back when, basically men were horny all the time. And, yeah, but, that's something that is I've seen an increasing... or a decrease in the whole mating ritual, chasing and running and doing stuff for just to get laid. But we will find out in the long term if this is a good thing or a bad thing.
Fuck this, I feel weak. Get your hands off me, Harold. What the fuck is wrong with you? Okay, you're the boss. Do anything you want, but please don't hurt my animals. That is all I ask. Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Yeah, It is what it is.
Praise Jesus, don't hurt them. They are creatures of God, and so am I. Oh, God, pain is everywhere, I feel. Bend over, honey, he said. I'm gonna put this eel up your ass, so try to relax. Ho ho, eh? Balls!
Like I said, his descriptions can be kind of off-putting sometimes.
There are no jokes when we start talking about introducing saltwater eels into people's body cavities. Some of them are 9 feet long. That is over the line if it's done against their will.
It may be considered over the line if they consent to it, if you think about it. I mean, 9 feet? Wow.
That would be rape of some kind. Oops.
Nope. Yeah, I think that would be above and beyond rape. You know, I think there should be, you know, a more serious version of, or at least, you know, harder consequences when using a ill or something, you know, using another life form, I guess, species.
How about a break, people? How about some music? Yes, music is where it's at, so consider this. I am a confused musician who got sidetracked into this goddamn word business for so long that I never got back to music. Except...
Yeah, that makes you wonder how many people that happens to, you know. Go to do one thing and make successful in something totally different.
Maybe when I find myself oddly alone in a quiet room with only a typewriter to strum on and a yen to write a song. Who knows why? Maybe I just feel like singing. So I type.
That might be interesting. If you look at, you know, books and novels and stuff, it's just an elongated song. You know, a song with hundreds of verses, I guess. I don't know. I mean, it's philosophically, it can be an interesting game to think about.
These quick electric keys are my instrument, my harp, my RCA glass tube microphone, and my fine soprano saxophone all at once. That is my music, for good or ill, and on some nights it will make me feel like a god. Veni vidi vici.
Yep, I came, I saw, I conquered.
That is when the fun starts. Yes, Kenneth, this is the frequency. This is where the snow leopards live.
Yep, and this is where the weird go professional.
Genius, all over the world, stands hand in hand, and one shock of recognition runs the whole circle round. Herman Melville said that, and I have found it to be true. But I didn't really know what it felt like until I started feeling those shocks myself.
Yeah, there's a legend that Thompson used to take one of Steinbeck's novels, I forget which novel, and would sit down at a typewriter and type it word for word, period for period, comma for comma, just retype it over and over and over again.
Which always gave me a rush. So perhaps we can look at some of my work, or all of it on some days, as genetically governed by my frustrated musical failures.
And that's a good way of kind of looking at it. And with that, we'll go ahead and call this good here. Hope everyone is having fun, enjoying life, being good to each other. And as always, be a good human. Be a good to other humans. Peace.
Hey, it's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?